Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, inspiration, and hope. And Happy New Year. I'm Dr. JACALYN Kerbeck, and our show today is the Resume Whisperer with JosefStetter. And our topic is how to optimize your job search. So thank you for joining us. We're really excited for another episode. We will be providing all of Josef's contact information. All you need is your phone, whatever device that you have, you can scan. We have QR codes, makes it a lot easier. So let's welcome the gentleman from Canada who has helped over 11,000 people find gainful employment. He is an expert in all areas when it comes to career and resume and anything to do with you getting the position that you are looking for in your career. Welcome, JosefStetter. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me again. Excited to start the year off right and help people kind of move forward in 2024 with a lot more prosperity and a lot more excitement.
Fantastic. Well, Happy New Year to you, first of all, and thank you for doing what it is that you do, because you're out there helping people on a regular basis. So many people are confused. You know, the calendar changes and all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh my gosh, you know what? I should have done something last year. I hated my career. I hated my job then. What can I do now? So tell us specifically about how you work with clients, and then we'll dive into it.
So I have two businesses in terms of working with clients. The first is helping kind of corporations understand corporate culture, hire the right fit people, keep them engaged, and keep them productive. The second part, and what we've been focusing a lot of the show, is the individual job seeker who is a little bit lost in kind of what's going on in the world right now and trying to figure out why they're sending out resume after resume. No one's responding to them. No one's calling them. And kind of giving them kind of insights on, no one ever told you this, but this is something that will make a huge difference in your searching for a job, in your overall experience of it, and anything else to do with getting noticed, getting hired, and getting paid what you deserve to get paid.
Excellent. You know, I really appreciate what you just shared, because you kind of broke it down very simply so that people can really relate to it. So are you able to work with people from all over the world, or do you work specifically in Canada? Do you work online? How does that work?
So predominantly I work in North America, so Canada, United States. I have helped people in Europe. I do help a variety of people from a perspective of people that are trying to immigrate into North America, and kind of help them navigate the murky waters of, you know, you don't have American or Canadian experience, your education might be a little bit different, and so forth. And kind of what's the information that's relevant, because, you know, every country in the world and every region in the world has their own standards. So for example, in Asia, it is very common to put your picture on your resume with your marital status and how many kids you have. In North America, that's kind of a no-no. That actually can hurt your resume. So I try to kind of say, here are the standards in North America, since Canada and the United States are very similar in terms of standards, and what you need to expect and why.
Thank you for really breaking that down. I just want to let our audience know we do have 2 QR codes that are up on the screen right now. So you can just take your device and hover it over, and it will take you to Joseph's websites. So we tried to give all the information. There it is, right at hand. Joseph, when it comes to actually optimizing your job search, is there some set of rules or philosophy that you have that before we come out and contact you, before we call you, we go to your website, that we should do certain things before actually engaging you?
So, engaging me is a combination of expediting the process. I mean, just like a personal trainer in the gym, you can go work out by yourself, but having a personal trainer that watches what you do, gives you insights, gives you feedback, can make the process faster. So, if you're searching for a job for 6 months to a year and you're sending out hundreds, if not thousands, of resume, you're wasting time. And uh, I've had the pleasure and the honor of helping people get this hired in as little as 2 days. My average, I have a 90% average of helping anybody find employment in any field in under 3 months, because there's certain key things that need to be done. Starting with your resume. Your resume should not be cookie cutter unless you're applying for government work. Um, and there's subtle things that you can do on your resume, like adding a little bit of color, changing your bullets from the regular dots that everybody uses to something in terms of, if you go to your bullets there, you can choose diamonds, arrows, a little colorful thing there in Microsoft Word as a default, or in Google Docs that you have. You can insert a different symbol for it. Changing the font just breaks the eyes a little bit. Uh, you know, Having headings that are a little bit bigger, or highlighted, or something that kind of breaks the eyes. And again, the most important thing in the resume is not just telling me that you know how to do something, but making sure that you quantify the significance of your work. Nobody cares that you know how to do something like financial statements if you're an accountant, because every accountant knows how to do financial statements. And if they don't, they shouldn't be accountants. So quantify how good you are at what you do, and why your work matters, or why your work helps a company and will make money, save money, or increase efficiency. Beyond the resume, and I'll just kind of start getting into the strategies. Most people default to the easiest and least productive way of looking for a job, which is job boards, such as the Indeeds and the Career Builders and Monster. Unfortunately, that is one of the worst places to look for a job, because number one, you have volume of people applying. So one job posting will get between 350 and 5,000 applicants. And most companies look at the first 100. So there's a few tricks to optimize on the job boards, such as most of the big job boards will refresh their database between 11:45 p.m. and 2:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So by going into your resume before you go to bed, pressing spacebar and saving it, you're making a change to your resume. By making a change, the algorithm of the database goes, "Ooh, this is a new resume." And therefore, you actually have better chances of being seen. Because if you've posted a resume, like we are now in January, if you posted a resume, let's say in September, October, and you didn't touch it on any of the job boards, you're probably on page 5,000, 6,000, 7,000. Nobody sees your resume. So, don't spend 8, 10 hours a day searching for jobs. Like, it amuses me, but it also saddens me, the amount of resumes I get from job postings that I posted 8 years ago, or 7 years ago, or 5 years ago. And I'm like, have you read the date on the job posting? And how deep on any of these job boards are you going to apply for a job posting from 5 years ago to try and get a job? Right. So if you know how to optimize it there, I mean, it's a tool, but it shouldn't be the only tool. And the biggest mistake that most people make is that it's the only tool that they use. And that's why they get very frustrated and go, "Oh, I've sent out hundreds of resumes, if not thousands, and there's no jobs out there." No, there's plenty of jobs. It's just your resume is not good enough, and you're wasting your time on Indeed. So there is in math, it's called the Pareto rule, or the golden rule. the Fibonacci rule, the golden rule. So it's the 80-20 rule. So when it comes to job finding, 80% of people apply for 20% of the jobs, which are the ones posted on job boards. 20% of the people apply for 80% of the jobs, which is the ones that are through the other sources for getting hired. So 10% of your job search should be job boards. It is a tool. It is a way to get noticed, but it should not be the only tool. 25% of your job search should be recruiters, headhunters, employment agencies, or whatever title they go by. They have a relationship with companies. If they like you, they're going to present you because they earn commission for placing you. So use agencies. You want to use 2 or 3 global, national, larger ones like the Robert Halfs and the Randstads, because they have quite a vast network that they work with. And then you want to use some local industry specific. So if you're an engineer, find engineering recruiting firms in your state or province, depending on location and so forth. So 25% of your job search should be recruiting agencies. 25% of your job search should be networking. And again, most people don't know how to network. They come in and assume, I'm just going to collect business cards. I'm just going to send my resume to everybody. No, there's an art to networking, from how you brand yourself. If you look at every episode, I'm always wearing something purple. My background's purple. My business cards are purple. If you look at my websites, everything's purple. Why? Because when I go to networking events and I send a follow-up email saying, I'm the guy in purple, they might not remember my name, but they'll remember the purple. So, the conversations to have when you're networking. 25% of your job search should be LinkedIn and other social media, where, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, because most companies have corporate pages. And if you engage on those pages with interesting, useful ideas, those companies will look for you. They will find you. And more today's companies are checking your social media to make sure there's no red flags when they hire you. And the last piece of the puzzle, which is the hardest, which is 15% of the job search, should be done through picking specific companies and targeting them in terms of getting a hold of people that work there, speaking to the right person. So, a little trick if you're calling a new company is ask for accounting, sales, or customer service. Because let's say if you call Bob in accounting and say, hey, Bob, I understand you're in charge of hiring, let's say, logistics managers. Bob's going to go, no, I'm in accounting. You're going to say, oopsie, I'm sorry. Who is in charge? Now, since most accountants aren't known for their bubbly personality, Bob will look up the information and say, oh, it's Mike. And what's Mike's phone number? What's their email? And generally, they'll probably give it to you because they're not trained to guard the information kind of thing. Their job is to do accounting. So when you call and ask for Mike, first thing you say is, Mike, I just spoke to Bob in accounting. He tells me you're the best hiring manager in the company. Now you've boosted Bob's ego, or you've boosted Mike's ego, and you're starting a conversation that's a little bit more exciting and fresh. But generally speaking, the creating a position just for you can take up to 6 months because you need to get the right person's attention. But you can also speak to people in the company, build rapport with them, and then have them refer to you, which most people don't realize that organizations have a referral program. So if, let's say, I recommend JACALYN to a company, Dr. JACALYN to a company, and she gets hired and she passes probation, my employer is going to give me between $300 and $2,000 for Dr. JACALYN passing her probation, which is incentive for me to refer, because if I've referred you, that means I actually like you and I want to work with you. And so most people don't take advantage of this or don't realize the importance or the relevance of asking for their referrals and using LinkedIn not just to build a network, but to actually connect with people and speak to them and have conversations that might move them forward, right? Unfortunately, most people just kind of send hundreds of resumes on job boards and go, there's no jobs. Again, your odds are very low just from job boards. You need to learn how to use the other resources. That's kind of what I do with my clients, is I teach them how to navigate each of the resources and what are the things that they need to do in baby steps to actually optimize the algorithm, the results, the response from each one of those five.
So much fantastic information there. I really love it. So if anybody missed it, please go back and watch that section again. So Joseph, I also want to ask you, if someone came to you, I'm going to use me as an example, and I said, I'm an author, I'm a coach, I'm a TV presenter, I'm also a producer, I'm a spin coach, blah, blah, blah. So can we look for jobs in all these areas? Like, can we start calling companies in this, and this? Or can you, Joseph, figure out a way to bring it all together and find me a job where I can use all of my talents?
So it's both a yes and no. So to spread yourself so thin where you're trying to do 15 different jobs, not a good idea, because then companies will go, you're all over the place. But you can give yourself a title that allows you to oversee things. So for yourself as a coach and entrepreneur, you can give yourself a title as director of operations, where you're dealing with this, and this, and that, at which point you can address how you led the team rather than you doing all of this yourself, for example. But the reality is, and I just had actually quite a few conversations with it, where because there is, no man is an island unto themselves. Everybody has other duties assigned. And as you progress in a company, you might take on more than your job description because it's part of the work that you're doing for the company. So it's important to quantify the results that you produce that are relevant to where you want to go. So, I remember when I first got into recruiting, one of my clients once said to me, as the CEO of the company, I should never be the smartest man in the room. And I thought about that. And then he also explained to me, like, look, my genius is to have a vision. And then I hire people around me that can execute the vision by incorporating pieces. So, I'm a corporate culturist and I'm a resume whisperer. I have a phenomenal lawyer that checks all my documentations for legalities. I hire a great accountant to figure out what are the rules of an accounting that I can take advantage of to defer my taxes, minimize my taxes, or otherwise run the finances of my business. So those are experts that most professionals should have. And, there is a level where, as my business progresses, for example, I'm not a video editor. Yes, there's AI tools that I've heard of that can do certain things, but I don't think like a video editor, and I don't understand how the content works or doesn't work. So I love to talk. So if I record a video for 10 minutes, I don't want to sit there for 6 hours and figure out of the 10 minutes what's the sizzle that will get attention for the videos. So I pay great video people to do that for me. I used an individual named Jim Beard that serviced me fantastically, and I highly recommend him. But in the same respect, there's elements of social media, elements of there that I'm going, you know what? My genius lies elsewhere. So I need to surround myself with people that can make my life easier by doing things better than me that I don't know how to do, nor do I have the time to figure out, nor do I want to do. Because let's be honest, I don't want to do accounting. That's why I pay the accountant to go, here's all my receipts, here's the expenses, here's kind of things that are happening. You do the accounting, give me the executive report, tell me what I need to be concerned about for my business. And I don't think people understand or appreciate that. So to your point, Dr. JACALYN, you're wearing 15 hats. Yes, if companies know that you can wear 15 hats, they'll take advantage of it. But do you really want to wear all 15 hats, or do you want to wear 3 of them and do them so well and then build a team around you that can do the rest of the 12? that's really the focus. And for a job search, it's the same thing. Like, know what your gifts are or know what your desires are. So if you don't want to do administrative work like typing documents, okay, that's something that can be delegated. If you don't want to do Excel spreadsheets, that can be delegated. And focus on the things that you are. What's interesting is the higher you go up in title or duties, the less of the day-to-day minutia you do, and the more of the strategy execution that kind of needs to happen, where you kind of communicate this is a strategy and then delegate to the right people to start executing the pieces to make it work.
Thank you, Joseph. What about if someone works in corporate and they're approached by their leader, their manager, and says, I really see, Joseph, that in addition to what you're doing here in this capacity, you would be a great fit to fill in over in this other department because we have an opening there. And I'd like you to just open your mind and think about, instead of doing sales, we're going to put you over here in procurement because we think that you have what we need and we've got an opening there, and that'll open up this opening.
So that's probably a whole episode in itself, Dr. JACALYN, because a lot of companies will get you to do other things as part of what the company needs. But unfortunately, this is where, as a corporate culturist, I come in, because you might be great in sales and you might think procurement in certain aspects, but you're not trained in the communication styles. You're not trained in the leadership styles. And so this is causing a big gap for companies where, this person's brilliant here, and then they promote them to another department and they fail miserably because they're not ready, or they haven't been mentored, or they haven't been trained. And there's a dynamic where it's great to have transferable skills, but you should also own where your gifts are, and also make sure that if a company says we need you to do this in the other department, that before you do that, they're willing to incentivize you, whether it's monetary or whether it's other kind of advantages or perks that you can receive in order to do that work. The more that you're willing to go, yes, I'll do this, yes, I'll do this, yes, I'll do this. On the one hand, yes, you do become more, I'll use in quotation, invaluable to the organization. But on the other hand, they'll dump more on you. And because they'll dump more on you, you're getting paid less and less and being taken advantage from perspective of how much work you're actually doing and why. Now, this is where there's also a level, and I'll say this, there's been a big shift of, oh, you're this age, or you're this educator, you have this much experience, you're too expensive. What's happening now is that experienced professionals are coming back with a vengeance, because companies are realizing that when they hire new graduates, there's nothing wrong with education, but you cannot trump experience. You cannot trump maturity. You cannot trump problem-solving skills that are not, let me ask AI, but actually know how to do it. I think I've shared in other episodes, but my father was a senior director of operations for a real estate developer, and he was in charge of tearing down 16 apartment buildings and converting them into condos. When he passed, his employer decided to save some money and hire a project manager that had 3 years of experience, 4 years of experience. After a month and a half, and that person's been working for a company for a while, of taking over my dad's job, he basically went to leadership, said, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown. I don't know how my father, his name was Adrian, handled 16 buildings at a time, but it's ridiculous, the amount of work here. And they ended up hiring 6 or 7 people to handle 2 or 3 buildings at a time, instead of hiring somebody with 30 years experience for one salary. So they ended up spending about $800,000 more than hiring somebody at my dad's level. So there is, what's happening now is a shift where before it was like, oh, you're a new MBA, great, you're cheaper, $50,000 cheaper than somebody who has 20, 30 years of experience, we'll hire you. And yes, a new MBA might have creative ideas, but they don't have experience. They don't have the knowledge that somebody with 30 years of experience has. And so you can't match that. I've invested 30,000 hours to master job finding and recruiting and what's working and what doesn't work. Yes, anybody can go now and use ChatGPT and type a resume, but ChatGPT is not going to tell your story. My gift is to be able to highlight how great you are, and that's why you pay me as an expert. You pay me as an expert to go, don't say this, don't do this, because these are the mistakes that are going to cost you the opportunities. As much as you can use AI, I have stories that AI can't generate. I have experiences that AI can't generate. And someone who's in recruiting for 3 months probably has not experienced some of the craziness that I've dealt with, in both good and bad, in terms of candidates looking for a job, as well as just understanding the nuances of, let's say, navigating LinkedIn, the nuances of reading a job description correctly. So, if you decide to cheapen out, you get what you pay for.
You have shared some really amazing stories with us in other episodes. Staying with the topic that we have about optimizing job search, this is something that this next question I have that I've heard from many people over time who are in sales in corporate. They have an amazing year and then their quota gets raised. And their boss says, we know that you can do it. You did 2 million last year. We're giving you 3 million. And they're thinking to themselves, I literally killed myself to get the 2 million. And mentally they start checking out and thinking, I got to get another job. I've got to get out of here. Is that a good client for you? Or is that someone that you think is not actually working to their full potential? Their manager, their leader sees something in them and they're saying, no, that's not actually me. I need a new job.
I think it's a level of this, I'm going to answer it this way to you. My ideal client is somebody that is frustrated, whether it's because the quotas are too high, whether it's the culture in terms of nobody appreciates the work that you're doing, whether it's that, and this is something that as a corporate culturist, I address all the time, because executives, quote unquote, sit in their ivory tower, look at an Excel spreadsheet and go, this number needs to be faster or better. And if you watch the show Undercover Boss, I love that show. It's one of my favorite. When some of these executives try to do the frontline work or some of the roles, they cannot handle it because they're overwhelmed with the speed, with the needs kind of thing. The other problem is that they're forgetting the human factor. And this is where I come in as a corporate culturist, where I say people need the water cooler conversations. People need that mental break from what they're doing to go talk about movies and music, because it refreshes them, it energizes them. And unfortunately, we are in a society, like right now, going through an era of many organizations counting their pennies to make a dollar rather than investing in their people to increase productivity overall. And so you're getting this scenario where companies are nickel and diming their employees to the level that employees are going, it's not worth it. I'm commuting an hour and a half each way to do this job, and now you're piling more on me and giving me a 1% raise. Not worth it. Right. And so you have this dichotomy of one of my favorite books, Who Moved Mike Cheese by Spencer Johnson, Hem and Haw, where we are creatures of habit. We don't like change, so we'll suck it up, in quotations, and just do the job because it's better than not having a job. And the fear of not having a job is what scares us the most. It is amazing how creative people become when they get a kick in the ass and go, oh, sorry, we don't need you anymore. And all of a sudden they're getting paid significantly more. They're getting appreciated for their efforts and their genius and their ideas, because another company doesn't have those standards of like, let me keep pushing and keep pushing. Look, every company year over year wants to grow and be better than they were the previous year. there's ways of doing it that don't burn your people out. And that includes, the mental health and well-being, the work-life balance, where, it's like, okay, listen, we know we're increasing your quotas, for example, but we're going to pay for a gym membership, or we're going to pay for your fitness to keep you fresh, or we're going to do this, which is offsetting the energy. It's not always about money. It's just about treatment and conversations, and it's unfortunate where, there are some industries that are so powerful that they know they can get away with whatever they want to, because they have 160 lawyers twiddling their thumbs, waiting to sue your great 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 grandkids into litigation if they have to, right? I won't mention any specifics, but banks, insurance, they're way too powerful to do. So they can put more on you with expectations because it's a bank. Um, but again, it's a matter of, you know, is there any form of recognition, whether it's an award, whether it's monetary, whether it's, a pat on the back, the way that you're being communicated to, mentorship to kind of help you, to groom you, to grow you to bigger and better, that will create that good feeling. If you are in any way, shape, or form frustrated, angry, disappointed that you didn't get a promotion, that people around you are leaving, that the communication's horrible, that you're underappreciated, you're not acknowledged for the work that you do, you feel like you're significantly underpaid, those are my clients. Those are the people that I can help very quickly because they're driven to get results faster. If you're happy where you're at, it's going to be harder to get you to take action to better yourself, or to look at those better opportunities that definitely exist out there.
Excellent points as always. Thank you. I want to kind of drill down a little bit, but I like to kind of relate it to what the industry's doing. So, what I mean by that is when I was in the corporate world, I was of the mindset to have as few jobs as possible. So, I think through my career, maybe I had four. And then there was a trend that stay for 2 years, stay for 3 years. And I know you've done a number of different um, positions at different companies. And so you've gotten a lot of different experience than what I've had. What is going on in the industry today? Is it stay where you are? Is it go and take the information and leave? What is it like now?
Well, in universities, when people study business, they're told to work for a company 3 to 5 years, leave on very good terms to go see if the grass is greener on the other side. And if it's not greener on the other side, come back. And when you come back after a year, the organization should realize just how much they appreciate you, and how much they missed you, and how much they kind of, how much work you did for them. And they'll give you that promotion, they'll give you the more money, rather than trying to climb the corporate ladder for 30 years as a whole. That's definitely gone. In fact, I think the statistics say that by the time someone is 38 years old, they would have already had 10 to 14 jobs.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were going to expand on that. Okay, so 10 to 14 jobs. So when you talk about you're in a company and then you're going to leave to go somewhere else, you leave on good terms. Is that an understanding that is discussed in advance? Hey, Joseph, I really like working here. I've been here for about 5 years. I'm going to just go see what's going on down the street at this other company, but I'd like to come back in a year because I've done well for you. I've performed. Is that something we can talk about?
I wouldn't necessarily address it there. I would address it from a perspective of thank you for the opportunities. I learned a lot. I've grown with the company, and now it's time for a new chapter in my life. And then a year later, if you keep in touch on, let's say, social media like LinkedIn, hey, how's it going on that side? Casually checking in, you're more than likely to be invited in, especially if there was kind of the people that supervise you were still there and were still, missed or appreciated or got to understand how much work you did and how much, contributions you made, kind of thing. So, you don't really want to lay all your cards on the table. There are situations and there are situations. If you're trying to see and leverage, let's say, and unfortunately that's happened to me a lot too, where candidates will get a job offer from a competitor and then use that as leverage to force kind of a raise or promotion at their current employer. What they don't understand is when they do that, the employer kind of has a bitter taste of, well, now you forced me to do it, so I'm probably going to treat you a little bit worse because I'm paying you more money. Tends to be the reaction. It's not always the case. It depends. I mean, I think I've shared, I had a ridiculous experience with somebody that was offered $430,000 raise in 4.5 hours, which was the most ridiculous negotiation I've ever had to deal with. But it goes to show where, I mean, as quickly, I'll share the story again, is that I had somebody who was a controller in a company that produces blank CDs and DVDs. And for 5 years, the company he was working for refused to give him a raise and told him that the company's not making enough money. And then on top of his $65,000 salary, he was making potentially a $20,000 bonus at the year end. I sent him to a client that was doing custom surround sounds for houses that in Toronto are well over $2 million. So, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square feet plus. And my client loved him, asked how much he was making. I told him. My client offered the candidate $85,000 salary and a $25,000 bonus incentive. When the candidate resigned, his boss came into the office within a half hour, said, "You're not allowed to leave. You're the only person that knows what's going on here in the accounting. What'd they offer you?" The candidate told them. And the boss came back and said, "Okay, fine. We'll give you a base of $110,000, $30,000 bonus to stay put." Keep in mind, 5 years they refused to give him a raise because they didn't have enough money in the company. Candidate called me, told me, "Listen, I know all the people here. I've worked here for 10 years. I know the routines. I know this. They just kind of doubled my salary." Called my client, told him what happened. My client said, "Okay, you know what? There's something really special about this guy. What they offer him?" I told him. He goes, "Fine. I'll give him a base of $140,000 and a $40,000 bonus to come work for me." Candidate resigned again. The entire leadership team of the organization came into his office and was like, "You're not allowed to leave. You're the only one that knows what's going on here with the numbers. So what they offer you?" He told them. They came back, I don't know, 45 minutes later, was like, "Okay, we'll give you a base of $200,000 and 2% ownership in the company. You'll make about $250,000 a year." Told my client that. My client was like, "Okay, this guy is really, really special. This is my final offer. If he doesn't take this, he's an idiot. I'm going to offer him a base salary of $265,000 and 9% ownership in my company. In his worst year, he'll make $500,000. And then he finally took that offer, but he went from $65,000 to $265,000 base in a matter of 4.5 hours. So if you're that good and you have that much value, companies will beg you to stay, right? This is where you have a little bit more leverage on what you negotiate, how you negotiate it. And thanks to pandemic, people can now negotiate working from home. People can negotiate, mental health and well-being. People can negotiate parking. People can negotiate, because, in New York, parking can be as expensive as a condo sometimes. People can negotiate technology. People can negotiate a multitude of things that, is to their advantage. Gas allowance, car allowance, pet sitting, daycare, and a slew of other things.
So it sounds like you should ask for what you want. And what if you want an entire list of things? Like, I always think, if you're negotiating, what is the real offer that you'll accept, and how much do you pile on top of that so they go no, 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 and you eventually get the offer you want anyway?
So, as a rule of thumb, and again, I teach people how to negotiate correctly in my courses and in my programs. But generally speaking, a $5,000 to $10,000 increase should not break a company's bank. If it does, don't walk away from there. Run away, because they're going to be even more miserable to you because they had to pay 10,000. As much as companies have ranges and have policies in terms of HR of what the value is that they want to pay for a particular role, if you're that good and you're producing results, people will pay you. You know, so I know, again, friends of mine and people that in their current role, even though their title says this is the cap of the salary, because of how much they're liked and how much work they produce, they were able to negotiate a $30,000 to $40,000 raise because of just their bosses understand how valuable they are, and it's cheaper to keep them happy than to have that person leave the organization.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So if you're not at the top of your game, right? And you're kind of the C level, you're just kind of just getting by. What kind of leverage do you have in any situation? And I would think that someone who comes to you in that situation, you might have to be real and frank with them about what their opportunities are. Do you have to be a top performer, or you can help anyone?
Not going to help anyone. The reason being is because most people don't think, how great am I? They go, I do my job. There's a very big difference between I do my job versus I produce results. So I can say to you, a lot of, like, let's say from my career, I'm a great salesperson. I know how to do B2B, B2C, account management, relationship building, lead generation. I've worked retail, I've done door to door, I've done car sales, I've done private education or private colleges, I've done recruiting. I know how to do sales. That's what most people do. But nobody cares. But if I say, listen, I built a call center from scratch that was supposed to generate $300,000 for the year, with restrictions that I call leads that are more than 4 months old, or my team calls leads that are more than 4 months old and more than 50 miles or 75 kilometers from the nearest campus, because this was for a company that owns multiple private colleges. In less than 6 months, my team did $2.25 million. Which one would convince you that I know how to lead a sales team? All of the words I use that are industry related, that are good for the algorithms of a resume on job boards, or the actual example that tells you I built a call center that was supposed to generate $300,000 but generated $2.25 million in less than 6 months? Which one would convince you that I know how to lead a team?
Yeah, it's the results. It's
Right.
showing me the
So
money.
the majority of people don't think about the results. So, I'm having conversations with people where they've been promoted several times in their job, but they don't know how to explain, here's how good I am at what I do. They don't know to quantify the results with dollar figures, with percentage figures, with time figures, with inventory figures, with macros, with templates, with policies, procedures, documentations, special initiatives. They don't know how to quantify that. Anything and everything is quantifiable, right? I mean, Dr. JACALYN, I'm going to use you as an example. I know that you're very proud that you've done over 700 plus classes of sorry, I forget the fitness name that you do. Solid Core, I think it is,
Yes,
if I
not
remember
paid
correctly.
spokespersons. Yes, that's right.
Right, but here's the thing: it's 700. I haven't done one, so the fact that you're saying 700 to me is mind blowing to me. How committed you are to fitness, right? And so there's a level where I trust that you know how to work out, especially in solid core or but because you've done 700 of them, right? In the same way that in my introduction, I've helped 11,000 people. I've invested 30,000 hours to master everything there is to know about job finding. So I've earned the right. And if anybody looks me up, I just had an article that was featured in Fox 28 in the UK and several other destinations that I wrote about corporate culture, because I do what I preach, and I'm there speaking to corporations and getting the attentions of media. And I've been asked to be an executive contributor for a few magazines and written articles to kind of go, here's the expertise, here's the wisdom, right? There's a level where right now there is things that new career coaches or people that go, oh, I'll just use ChatGPT to write a resume. Go ahead, use ChatGPT and tell me how successful you are at finding a job. Yes, there's new AI tools that can help you with this and help you with that. But if you don't understand the nuances and you don't understand why those nuances occur, all these AI tools are just going to give you more work, because you're going to have to learn how to use those AI tools, right? I'm not saying ChatGPT writes decent resumes. I've looked at a few templates of the resumes that they create. They're not bad. They have a little bit more personality than the average black and white that I see. The problem is ChatGPT doesn't tell a story. It tells what's common information for everybody, like all the words, like in sales, B2B, B2C, account management, relationship building, lead generation. It tells that. It tells your duties. It doesn't say what you actually did that matters, right? And this is where my expertise, my coaching, my guidance helps teach you the systems, the tools, the techniques, the tips, the tricks that are small. So at the beginning of the show, I talked about Indeed. How many people know that they can go into their Indeed resume at, let's say, before they go to bed, press spacebar, save it, and that small little change can be the difference between actually getting noticed and not on the job boards, right? Now, is it something that they're going to find online if they look me up? I've mentioned it in a few of my podcasts that I've been a guest on, 80 plus podcast shows. I've mentioned that over and over again. But is it something that they're going to find an article on Indeed about? No. Is it an article, is something that they're going to have some of the biggest recruiting firms in the world, like Robert Half, mention? No, because it's not obvious public information. I've spent the time to research, to understand, to learn, to ask, so that I can share this information in a way that helps more people.
And I think the entire goal of this series, these episodes, is for people to understand that you are the go-to, you are the guru, you are the one who has this experience, not only yourself in the fact that you've worked in a number of different fields, but you've helped people in all means and manners and walks of life. And I just love that. And today, I really feel like we clarified that you don't have to be a top performer. You don't have to be the A-list person. You can be someone who is doing their job. They show up day after day, but they're just not motivated to do this job. It's not bringing out their inner passion. And we find that all the time. Somebody's been doing something for so long just for the paycheck, and they have this fear of leaving. And you basically help them confront that fear and realize that they have skills and talents that are worth being compensated if they would just let go of holding on to this barbell of the job that they currently have.
But in addition to that, and I'm going to use, your friend that you recommended me to, right? This individual was working in the banking world for 15 years, had a very good career, advanced in their career, but the way that I reprogrammed the art of the interview, the insights I gave on should I say this or should I do this, made a huge difference, not only in the offer that they got, but also in the experience of looking for a job. Because even if they didn't get the job, they came out with so much more confidence to go, yep, that wasn't the right company for me, but I know what I'm worth. I know what I bring to the table. I know how good I am at what I do. And if this company doesn't understand it, the next one will. Not only will they understand it, but they'll give me more in terms of salary, in terms of perks, because they understand just how good I am at what I do. And that's exactly what happened with the friend that you recommended to me. So, yes, you can go on Google and search it and kind of look and do certain things. I'm not dismissing that. I'm not the only career coach out there. I'm not the only resume whisperer out there. I'm not the only recruiter out there. Definitely, I'm not for everybody. But, I hire professionals that know more than me when it comes to things like accounting, law, marketing, so forth. I'm the professional that can get you from point A to B that much faster and that much easier.
Joseph, everything that you shared today is just spot on. As always, you are the ultimate professional. Thank you. And thank you for taking your time to be here and provide education. You already shared who your ideal client is, but for people who are just tuning in now, who is it that you would like to reach out to? And what's the best way for them to do that?
So, again, I generally help more white collar professionals that, feel stuck, frustrated, upset, disappointment that they're not advancing in their career. The routine is not changing. They're not challenged anymore. They're not earning enough. They're not being appreciated for who they are. Any form of somebody that wants a change in white collar. So these are your engineers, your accountants, your data scientists, your IT professionals, your quality control people, your gamification people, your pharmacy, your medical, white collar professionals that understand there's opportunities out there and they're maybe this close to getting it, but something in what they're doing is not working for them. And I'm the person that kind of goes, here's what you need to change to get results right away and to get them and have a much better experience, not only in navigating and optimizing your job search, because let's say here's, the agency. So like in my course, on my online course that, thank you, JACALYN, for showing my website, I have listed the top 350 employment agencies in the US. I've listed the top 300 job boards in the US, and in Canada, almost as many for those that are Canadians. And there's a level where most people aren't going to go look at 350. What you hire from me to do is go, out of those 350, which are the top 10 that you want me to work with? I'm the one that simplifies the information, goes, do X, Y, and Z. This is when you do it. This is how you do it. This is why you do it. And here's the result you're going to get in as little as 2 days.
Sorry, it takes me a minute to get from over there to here.
No problem.
So let's see if I can switch this around. Nope, not working too well. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Joseph, we have your website pulled up here, and there's a lot of great content. I'm going to go over here for a moment. There's a lot of great content here on this site. If someone wants to reach out to you, it looks like they can go right here and subscribe to get in contact and find out what the newsletter, the latest trends. And then you've also got these great testimonials here, which are always really important.
Yeah. And all these testimonials are verifiable if somebody looks me up on LinkedIn, if on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm very easily found. My name is kind of how you find me. And again, I'm always happy and to respond and help and make sure that people understand. It's not hard. It shouldn't be difficult to find a job. It shouldn't be frustrating. It can be a lot of fun. It can be very exciting, and done correctly, almost like a game, because you can get a lot more than you expect.
A new chapter in your life. It's a new year, a new chapter. And I just want to highlight that your email address is there, info, I-N-F-O, at
No,
JosefStetter.com.
no.
You can
So it should be info@celebrategroup.ca, or just so I have to check that on my website then if that's the wrong email. But just find me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, and I'll respond to you.
Okay, fantastic. All right, we love our websites, right? We've got to constantly keep them updated.
Yeah.
So. All right, Joseph, we are going to sign off for now, and we'll be back next week. Any idea what we'll be talking about or why we're so small right now? I don't know. We're so
Yeah.
tiny. Oh, wait, there we go. Let's see if we can both be together. There we go. Hello. Any idea what you're going to speak about next week?
No, I don't know yet. Maybe we'll delve into corporate culture a little bit as a whole. I'm
Okay,
just going to do the corporate side of things a little bit.
I think that sounds like a great idea. And I think also something that I'd love to have you think about how we could tie it in. We do a couple of shows here on etiquette and manners. And I think there's really a nice tie in when you're looking for a job. What is the way that you carry yourself? What are your etiquette and manners? Or do you need any etiquette and manners when you're interviewing and doing a job search? So is that a topic that might be of interest?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is etiquette and manners, absolutely, because what you wear, how you smell, your jewelry, all of those can actually drastically affect your success or failure on an interview. So yeah, we could maybe talk about etiquette of interviewing and certain things. Yeah, that's a great topic. Let's do that.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. All right, well, we're signing off for now. Thank you, everyone. Please go and follow Joseph over on LinkedIn. Please go over to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV and Radio. We are also in the process of live streaming onto Instagram, and we also have the ability to live stream on Amazon Live. So, Joseph, we can talk about that if you're interested in giving people exposure to your books. We could sell them live right on the show.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here. Bye. Take care.
Bye.